Hello and welcome back to another episode of Craft Block. I'm running up against this wall because I want to show you something I just found. You see how we can see stone bricks once we run up against this wall through the quartz slabs? That's interesting. I was able to see through this concrete powder earlier. I'm not entirely sure what's up with that. If you remember, we were able to look through glass panes, much like we will be able to look through this nether portal, even though they are technically blocks and should block our view. I'm not sure about nether portals, but glass used to. I'm not sure if that's Optifine or Minecraft that allows us to kind of glitch and look through there, but, you know, that's just something to think about. Of course, this is the area we're looking at. Anyways, yes, welcome back. We're here with some changes, you know, some quite obvious, like, oh, these magma blocks, these weren't here. It used to be enchanting tables, and, whoa, what's that golden sword you're wearing and that golden armor? Well, if you were paying attention last time, it would be quite obvious that this is the heroic set, which boosts us up to 20 hearts if we're using all of the items. Now, the heroic healer, it's just a fortune axe, so I keep it in here along with my silk axe. And I just keep golden carrots in the offhand, and of course an elytra, so it only boosts us to 3 hearts and 4 when I'm holding the sword. Now there have been quite a lot of renovations off camera, because, you know, I've been trying to clean things up around here. This area is now entirely stone brick, except for this area, which I actually forgot about. But that is no matter, because through the power of editing, we have patched that up real quick. Now, if we just seal ourselves in here, oh no, I know. We are in a new area and an old area at the same time. This area you may remember, probably not, because I think I did this off camera, but this is our Guardian farm. This is where lava is dispensed. There are pistons up there that trap the Guardians, and apparently there are dark spots here, so probably around here or, yeah, right here. So I'm going to need to take care of that in a second. Now I've just stone bricked this, and you know, I was a bit lazy to do all this, so it's just going to remain stone for now. I don't intend to ever cover that up. Now we have a ladder here for easier access. This redstone is protruding out of the floor for a very good reason, because if we look over here, there is a redstone circuit. It's a simple comparator clock hooked up to a dispenser. Now these blocks are actually important, so we will put them back. As you can see, we have 2 droppers here that on either side there is redstone. We can see that right there. And this is hooked up to our Guardian farm because we wanted to make this fully automatic without having it sort into our actual sorting system. We wanted to make something separate, which will lead me into the next thing. We have new backrooms, and accessible backrooms that weren't accessible before. Now if we go up this ladder, we will see we have a whole new room back here. Now all this is accessible without the jetpack. There are stairs, there's a ladder, and just general walkways that have been cleaned up. This leads back to where we were, and of course there is a ladder. And if we go up here, we can follow the water stream up over here, slides into here, and then aligns against these 2 ender chests, which is very important, and goes over a set of hoppers. Now because this is more than 8 hoppers, we have to use this ender chest system, so it is aligned between the stone brick and the hopper. Now this is from the Guardian farm, so of course it is going to sort Guardian drops, and this last one sorts nothing. This also happened to intersect our mob farm, which is skeletons and creepers. So this is that nether brick room we have over here, and I appear to have broken a stair, which means we have to get out this way. The whole idea of such a system is to be able to collect prismarine related goods in mass quantities without worrying about our regular system overflowing, because we have a chest for unsorted items, and that would get full of shards and fish. So it's nice to have this. And also, it doubles as an ink farm, and sometimes we get bone meal from stray fish that end up in our Guardian tank. As you can see, we have the Guardians coming in, now dying on the magma blocks, and that's nice. We're just gonna ignore that for now. And you can see we have items coming out here. And I suppose I'm now going to have to deal with that Guardian problem. With everything fixed, we can now watch the items get sorted into their various ways. Or bins or hoppers. Can't think of the correct words, I suppose. But yeah. The alignment's important so that it can go over this ice, but still be collected by hoppers. So let's take, for instance, this fish. It'll go quite far down to the fish hopper. And there's 2 of everything, so that if we get a ton of fish at once, it can sort it at double hopper speed, as long as those are, open. So occasionally we might get fish shards or crystals in there if all the other chests are not full. This area also used to be not stone bricked, it just used to be ugly and inaccessible. So that's nice that we have this stone bricked and organized too. There's also something that happened a while ago. I tried to change this system so that the villagers would no longer be stored on a chunk boundary, because I believed that was what was, causing them to phase out of the glass. But it's actually just because there's so many of them in there that, they kind of glitch out. So I changed it to this system, which I thought might work better because, it's not on a chunk border and it's underground, and there used to be more glass around here, but alas, it does not work. Although it seems that more villagers, stay in here. Or here, I suppose. But yeah, we changed up this system a while ago off camera. The redstone is still the same, it's a dispenser with minecarts in it, and there's a loading system. And if we go back here, the rail is still the same. Except it's not, because I had to change it, because this system up here got in the way. The rail used to run through here, up and over, and this is what remains of it currently. Now I'm going to fill this in. I just left it here for the purposes of, demonstrating what has happened. So now the rail comes up parallel to the redstone, which I just thought made a lot more sense. Anyways, we are here at the bakery where I have done more renovations, and so has Matey Max by the looks. This is a little AFK pod with the Matey Max death box where you swing your sword at the mobs. Now, this is the spawner, and it finally has an on-off switch where the lights actually disable the mob spawners, which is something I added as very nice. I believe I actually showed that off in the last one, actually. Did I say actually twice there? I do believe I did. Anyway, this is the storage system, and this ladder was not here earlier. Matey Max has added this, and more storage to everything by the looks, and that is a lot of eggs. And these eggs are what we sell to Springly Steve, who gives us a lot of trading gems for it, which is how we got the heroic sword. And it's how we got, drumroll, this many cosmic gems. This also reminds me I had to renovate the whole storage system in between episodes because hopper speed was not fast enough, so now it runs at theoretically triple hopper speed, which is clearly just overkill. The reason I've farmed so many more gems is because there is... he's holding it there. Oh, he's alternating. That's interesting. New pets, which I have been collecting. Not really for much use other than having them. But this guy is going to be quite OP. And what is that? Travel to and trade with each type of villager. Very interesting. I guess I think he's desert, looks like. That guy's swamp. Oh, the rest of these are swamp. This guy's just different. Interesting. But yeah, I've gotten all the pets now, except for Bluebird, I think, which we could get. But, I don't want to. Plus, this has been changed. As you may recall, we have an acute shortage of gold, so this will be very nice. And we're going to try and design a farm for it. Ideally, we'd be able to put the farm around here to kind of finish out this area, but there is not enough space, believe it or not. It's not a big farm, it's just very tall, and right above that concrete, I think it's one layer of gravel that separates us from water. So I'm not going to deal with that because I'd have to build a tube, and it might even breach the surface of the water, which I just don't want. I'd rather keep the surface nice and clean. So we're going to have to figure out somewhere else for our wool to gold converter, which I have fully designed, and I hope it works. It should, in theory. I mean, it's pretty simple, but for now, we're just going to be over here because I want to do something with this area. And that something is this room, which should look vaguely familiar. You know, the concrete powder walls with the quartz frame, the concrete, the quartz on the floor, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's basically what we have in our hallways. But I want to make a small room like this so we can have a place for our bed, which has just been in that crevice for almost the entire season that we've lived here. So, you know, I thought I'd make a nice place for it, and this room is that. Now we're going to try and make a slime block piston door here so that, you know, these two blocks will come up and then it'll just look like that corner basically. So we're gonna have a, I just hit my microphone. We're gonna have a bit of a hidden entrance, but there is a problem. This bedrock, which could possibly make this not possible. On the other side, we have no such issue. There's no bedrock there, but, you know, I'll see if I can figure a way around it. As it turned out, the bedrock was actually a non-factor. I just can't count, which is nice. But yeah, this is the redstone for the door. I still need to polish it up because you can see through slime blocks, and ideally, we wouldn't be able to see, you know, that. But there's only so much I can do. Anyways, this is the contraption. We flick the switch, and then it raises the quartz walls. And it's indistinguishable from, you know, regular wall, which is what we want. And then we flip it again without holding shift, and there. So that's the door, that's the entrance. I kind of want to decorate it, but then that ruins the whole hidden door thing. So, you know, it'll just stay like that. We'll put a button on the inside and some kind of activation on the outside, probably an item frame, so we can like spin something, and then once it gets to a certain power level, it opens the door. And the trigger mechanism is now done. When the sword is facing this way, and only this way, the door will open. Any other direction, and it will close, as seen here. And if we just leave it like this, it will stay open. And I put my Phantom Scale chest plate here because, one, we no longer need it. We have the heroic set. And two, I kind of wanted something to balance it out. Same goes for, you know, the sword, since we have the heroic sword. If we go in here and close the door behind us, we have plenty of time to rotate it back to its original position. And there's a button here that opens the door and then closes it again after a set period of time. Now we can go over the redstone for this quite quickly. It looks complicated at first, but it's really simple when you break it down. Here we have a comparator measuring the item frame's state. So if we tick it to the correct one, it has a power level of 3 or 4. Oh, here, power 4. So it has a power 4, 3, 2, 1. This torch turns off when this is powered, and it runs it through a gate, checking that this one is also not powered. So if this one were powered, that means it's over. Then this whole line will be turned on, this torch will turn off, and this will turn off. Now the button is on the other side of this wall. We don't need to check any conditions for that, so it's just a redstone line running into this extension, I suppose. It's a comparator extender. So that's how that works, and if we go in here, just briefly, that's gonna fall, I know. This area is difficult to access, and it's not meant to be accessed, because once we're done with this, we can just seal away and never look at it again. It takes the pulse from this redstone dust, throws it through a torch to invert the signal, and opens and closes the door as seen earlier. So that's what that is. Pretty simple, at least, in concept. It's a bit compact, so it might be a tiny bit confusing. Here we have the final result. We have Phantom Scale Chestplate and the Lunar Storm. This isn't the one that I actually wore, that is this one. And I can tell because it has Thorns 3 on it, and if we take the armor off, the armor stand is invisible, but it's still there, which is interesting. We also have the Netherite I wore for a good chunk of the season here on another invisible armor stand, and a bed to set our spawn point. And as trigger, that's for the armor stands. So this is just a nice room to kind of respawn, maybe recuperate, maybe if I'm killed, I can, take the Phantom Scale armor set and be on my way. Which is an interesting concept. Maybe I could put like a wall of weapons or something so I can go back to get my stuff, but usually that isn't much of a problem on this server. Anyways, we're here at our original base and the grass island that is now next to it. I don't think I've ever showed this off on camera because this project never really came to reality. I planned some stuff out, but it just never really happened, and I don't really have time to finish this project, so I think we're just going to put this project to rest and say, there wasn't enough time to do it. But we are going to do something with this island in the near future, as in today, hopefully. We'll see if I have enough time. And that is the gold farm. Not a very traditional gold farm, mind you, but we're probably going to put it in this space, or at least try. As I mentioned before, this farm is going to be very tall, but that's just because we have to have something, floating in the sky for this to work, which is not ideal, but it's the only way I could consistently do this. So anyway, right here we have a collection system for all the stuff that will get thrown in here, and since we're using obsidian, that means some stuff's going to get blown up. So the TNT will land around here, so we need to be careful of these edges, and this grass will get blown up. There's not much I can do about that other than just replace it with obsidian, which I may end up doing. And as you can see, no efficiency loss, which is what we want to see. So no dead spots, even in these sides here. Next up are the pistons. We just, place a block here. This redstone torch powers the block, which powers the repeater, powers the redstone, which powers the piston. So that's nice. So we can just keep holding this. It places quartz. And then these three pistons, once a quartz block gets here, all three of them move via much the same action. This one's delayed by 2 ticks, this one's delayed by 1, which, just through trial and error, allows this to consistently move. So the idea is, there's always going to be a block here because, there's no piston to push it. We stand here and then place blocks on top of this torch. And as the yellow wool goes under us, it turns to gold, and then it blows up over the collection area. Things have worked out in such a way that I have very little time to record each day, and even in that time, I shouldn't be recording, so, it's difficult to actually, set time aside for this. But this is done. We have a chain of redstone in the forms of logs and leaves, which works in a strange way. Anyway, this makes this go down, which powers this hopper. So right now it's off because this hopper clock isn't functioning. If we were to turn it on, this redstone block would go back and forth, moving this piston machine back and forth. If we go down here, the machine is the same as we left it. Now all we need is yellow wool and the Midas pet, which is right here. And if we bone meal this very fast, I have an auto clicker just in the background right now that I set up specifically so I could do that. We make some yellow wool. We put this away. And with the Midas pet, put our first one there. then hold right click on this torch. And there we go, that's a gold farm. So, as you can see, this observer detects when this is switched, sends one pulse, one tick pulse, so it spits out the log block, and that continues all the way up there back to that quartz block that I showed earlier. And this is a TNT duper that duplicates TNT, imagine that. So, that's that. The TNT, you know, as I mentioned before, blows up this grass, which is nice. And me, if I'm standing too close. I think this is the maximum it can actually go without getting blown up, so here we go. It should be blowing up the first gold blocks any second now. As the first one. Now this is timed, so it shouldn't ever get stuck. It should always blow it up before it gets stuck. But I've not tested it for such extended periods of time. The machine is not 100% efficient. We did lose 3 blocks along the way, but seeing as we're just turning wool into gold, it's not that much of a hassle. We can always just get more. We don't have a sheep farm or a string farm, but we buy wool from Max's shop, and yellow dye is very easy to get, so it's pretty much renewable at this point. And if we did need to get wool from not a shop, we have the bakery piglin farm, which we now have an infinite supply of gold for. So that's a nice feedback loop we can abuse, but probably not going to do it too much because I only need so much gold. That is going to do it for today. I did not have a lot of time to record those 2 clips because of circumstances. I'm just very busy this time of year, and it doesn't help that this makes me even more busy because I have a lot of things I want to finish before the season ends. Yeah, goodbye.